ridiculous conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised.
Billions of people just living out their lives, oblivious. Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
Thank you, John Larson. I receive your kind words on behalf of all of our courageous members of the House of Representatives who want the best for the American people. And what we can do that is best for them in the next 24 hours is to pass affordable, accessible health care for all Americans. The best for all Americans is to have 32 million more people to have health insurance in our country. The best for...
Piece of stinking filth.
Shh, say it again, Shal. This is AJ of the InfoWars. Listen to the Shaliak. This is Alex Jones of InfoWars. Listen to Shaliak on the Cold Reality News and Report.
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Well, hello there.
Mm-hmm. on Cold Reality Radio. The French elections. What does it mean? More deception? The French overrun by immigration. Will Le Pen save them from a Bolshevik-style revolution in their own country? Results at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Security dominates. Is the EU in or is the EU out? The intel agencies warn of riots and all around shenanigans. The airline's back in the news. Wax mom with stroller. Oh my. Lions and tigers and bears. Civilian casualties from airstrikes grow in Iraq and Syria. Very few investigated now that there's more of a focus on Syria. Got to control the narrative. Got to control the narrative. Scientists take to the streets to defend research. The march for what? Bill Nye, the science guy, the climate zombie. But seriously, who's gonna fucking argue with the scientists? You know what I'm saying? How stupid could you be to argue with a scientist? You know, you're not a scientist. I'm not a scientist. How could you argue with Bill Nye, the science guy? It would be foolish. You'd be a fool to argue with Bill Nye, the fucking science guy, the climate zombie. But it's strange how you can take a lie and proliferate it out there for long enough so that you can even get educated people to actually believe in some bullshit. They said that Hitler did it. He told a lie big enough, kept on saying it, and then it became reality for people. And then the nightmare that came from that. The nightmare that came from World War II, you know. More so-called information that we just believe because we've been taught in these public schools, encyclopedias that were bought up by the Rockefellers to control the narrative, to control history. Those who control history can control the narrative. Those who control history can control the present day misunderstandings. And of course, they can control the future narrative that will almost inevitably be burned away when all the books are gone and they have control of all of the electronic copies of information. But they figured out ways to draw people away from real knowledge and say, oh, it's just, that's, we know about that World War II because, we were taught in school that, Hitler, the Antichrist Hitler was born. And then, of course, and then war started because he had to be stopped. He had to be stopped. That's it. Just a few bullet points. And then we're off to the races. We don't hear much about World War I. We don't hear much about what really happened in the Russian Revolution. The fucking French Revolution was so long ago that we have to take somebody's fucking word for it, right? Somebody's word must be taken for, what happened, back then. It turns out that, Christopher Columbus was actually a Sephardic Jew. And that, what was his name? The guy, the British are coming. The British are coming. His name was actually Israel. Israel. I think we actually learned that from Robert Wall at one point on his HBO program, where he provided a little bit of clarity to some of the events of the past. History is written by those who want to control the narrative. Another one is history is our lies agreed upon. That's a really good one. What is history? Lies that are agreed upon. What are we going to teach generations of commoners and ultimately slaves? What are we going to teach them? We're going to teach them that this happened, and everything that takes place is going to put those who want to control the narrative in the moral, in the moral positioning. Say we had to do what we had to do. We had to do what we had to do in Vietnam because we were attacked in the Gulf of Tonkin, which of course turns out to be a bunch of bullocks. We were not attacked. And if there was an attack, it was a self-inflicted wound to then stir up the need to go into Vietnam and do whatever it is that they were trying to do. Stop communism, stop this, stop that. And it's really just when you look at it, when you go back and you really do the research, and most people won't. They just want to believe the movie that goes, that moves forward. And then, of course, build entertainment and things around those events like Forrest Gump, which was not, an awful movie, but it did go through levels of our history and reinforced information that may or may not have been, been true. But it sure was entertaining when poor Lieutenant Dan was sitting outside of the television studio and he said, "They gave you the Congressional Medal of Honor. They gave you the Congressional Medal of Honor." And there was poor Lieutenant Dan, no legs, wheelchair, sliding down the hill of ice in New York City. Of all places, that Lieutenant Dan would be. Of all places. And you can see all of the, if you go back through that movie alone kind of shows you the contempt that rational or so-called rational thinking people had about, about the Vietnam War. Fucking Vietnam. Lyndon B. Johnson. Jenny. The Black Panther Party. We go through this and we see this, and where are those people today? Where are those people today fighting against the endless wars? Is it okay now because Obama became the president, or, the bloodline selected him to be the CEO of the United States Corporation, knowing that he would empower the banking element? Cornel West called him the Wall Street's a black mascot for Wall Street. Okay, is anybody listening to Cornel West? Now, Cornel West was on the Bill Maher show many times, favorite, and I think that Cornel West he's definitely a good man. He's educated in the American education system, which means that more than half of what you've been told about history is bullshit. So he's got to go with what he has been exposed to and taught about Jim Crow and about all of these different elements of racial, just overall racial discrimination. And around the same time that a lot of these things were happening, when the Korean War was happening, of course, they gave us MASH to make that funny. They give us Jon Stewart to take total crimes against humanity from the Obama administration and the Bush administration. They take those elements, and every now and then, Jon Stewart will get indignant and say, no, and they'll be like, everybody in the audience will be all quiet and, oh God, John's pissed off. We better listen, don't make any sounds or anything. So he's up there saying that Bush is this and Bush is that. And then Obama comes in, and then everything's fine. He's got a couple questions. He's got a couple of concerns about what Obama did. But overall, he's not Bush, so who the fuck cares? And so the wars continue, and they get blamed on someone else. The economy continues to, for 8 years, continues to just stagnate. People get poorer, inflation. And I'm going to kind of cap it with a story that I heard this morning, that I experienced this morning, which made a whole lot of sense after I kind of put the pieces together. So where are those people that fought against the war and the death and the what are we doing over there? Why are we doing this? Heck, my own father would watch the news. His trusted Peter Jennings, he would sit there at 6:30, and in his later years, he would watch the fucking news with Peter Jennings and say, I can't believe that what I fought for, I can't believe that this is what has become basically nothing that I did over there. 3 first wave invasions, nothing. Nothing was going to change where the world was going. So whatever he felt at that moment, what was it? Did we fail? Did the greatest generation fail? Is it our fault that the world is still so fucked up? And, you know, he took that and his experiences to the grave with him. One night, I remember, Saving Private Ryan was on. It was the 8 o'clock HBO movie, and we're sitting there, and he didn't say he didn't want to see it, but he sat there. And me and my older brother were sitting there watching it. And then I look over, and he's looking away from the screen. He can't bear to look. At what happened. He can't bear to look because, Steven Spielberg, made it so real. He brought back the horror of what D-Day was. And the truth of the matter is that D-Day didn't even need to happen. All of these wars did not need to happen. They were all created, fabricated, lied about. America, stood as the moral compass of the world. We were dragged into, because why? Because they had to attack America. They had to attack America. They attacked Pearl Harbor. And so they brought all of this to be. So my father's sitting there, can't look at the screen, can't watch it. I point over and I signal that, he probably shouldn't watch any more of this because it's too traumatic. And it was pretty, it was very realistic. The D-Day invasion on the beach. And of course, we were told and sold and told so many different things about why this event took place, why all of the killing all of the genocide always seems to be kind of corralled into one camp. But so many deaths, so many abominations, so many lives ruined, so many towns in Italy and in Germany and in Northern Africa. So many things that happened that probably were never even reported. And of course, with all the compartmentalization, you get whoever, because my father was in Salerno, Anzio, North Africa, 3 first wave invasions. And, of course, you had the first wave, invasion on D-Day. And so with the compartmentalization, you can imagine that, like, whatever happened, the people were so traumatized mentally from what they saw on these invasions that they weren't really going to question anything. And of course, I guess it was it MacArthur or one of the generals died mysteriously in some accident, some car wreck. And so you can only imagine, oh God, here goes the conspiracy theory. You can only imagine why he was taken out. Maybe it was just an accident. Well, why is everything got to be a conspiracy? Why is everything got to be a conspiracy? Patton. Thank you, Otto. So Patton dies mysteriously. And of course, there were shows and, the History Channel, those who continue to control history, put out the History Channel, and of course, Ancient Aliens. So we move down the road again, and we're filled with all kinds of shite. Excuse me. About what really happened in those in this time where our greatest generation, right? And of course the narrative needs to continue because every generation can be great. Why is it just the ones that fight in wars? Because war is profitable and war must continue as part of the deception agenda, the depopulation agenda, the diseasing of the human mind, where everything that happens is based off of lies that you have been told. Patton knew something, and he spoke out, and we know that it was probably. If you are, running a portion of this show, and things aren't adding up, and people are dying for no reason, sooner or later, you have to understand that that there's something happening that's just not right. That's just not. That's something happened that just was so anti-truth that, and of course you have Patton. He probably had minions and people that surrounded him that would not allow him to speak out. And then, but there are a lot of, thanks to the chat room folk, at the end of World War II, one of America's top military leaders accurately assessed the shift in the balance of world power which the war had produced and foresaw the enormous danger of communist aggression against the West. Alone among U.S. leaders, he warned that America should act immediately while her supremacy was unchallenged to end that danger. Unfortunately, his warning went unheeded, and he was quickly silenced by an inconvenient accident which took his life. Now, understanding whatever the narrative was, now I guess that kind of makes sense too. Like, he was bloodthirsty maybe, and he wanted to continue to, to move forward when the game plan is to, like Iraq was to leave Hussein in power so that later on, things, the chessboard does not have to, you don't have to go for the kill right away, especially when you want to loot the treasury, when you want to loot every resource that there is to then be able to have something to attack later on. So you leave it in place. And then, of course, from this particular, now this is just one aspect of it. Of course, I was going with, well, maybe he was a good dude and he cared about this and he cared about, who knows? 32 years ago, in the terrible summer of 1945, the U.S. Army had just completed the destruction of Europe and had set up a government of military occupation amid the ruins to rule the starving Germans and deal out victors justice to the vanquished. Patton, commander of the U.S. Third Army, became military governor of the greater portion of the American occupation zone in Germany. Now, we know through any number of pieces of literature that the Allies basically just decimated the rest of Germany. People that had nothing to do with the war. They were just commoners who, whether they agreed with Hitler or whether they didn't agree with Hitler, they still faced it, because you gotta destroy. It's like, three people see a murder and they all know who it was. If one of them gets away, then it's eventually the truth's going to get out. So you got to kill everybody. And apparently that's what they did in Germany. They decimated, they killed basically the same thing that happened in Russia when they killed all the Christians and Catholics over there. They had to do the same thing. And of course they were in a better position to do so because they had, military and, which obviously wasn't, things like that were not available to the murderers, the Bolshevik murderers, and the Vatican and a lot of these other organizations that were in on this, that knew that these things were going on. Of course, you got to, like I said, you got to wrap the Bible on a flag and beat people to death with it, because that's the only thing that's going to make people, go for the bullshit and the lies. Government's there to control your mind, and the church is there to control your spiritual perspective with all of their child raping and all of their fucking just degenerate filth. They should Vatican City should probably be eradicated at some point. But oh my God, how could I say something so awful? Why would we do that? The popes, they're just so popey. Fuck them. So, getting back to Obama, war just becomes okay with all the liberals and the people that used to fight against war because Obama's there. They don't want to. They don't want to admit to the failure. They don't want to admit to the fact that the entire system, Republican and Democrat alike, are war profiteers on every level. But then after it happens, years later, you'll get those that say, well, I wasn't for the Iraq war and I wasn't for this. And that's why you should vote for me. That's why you should keep me in here because blah, 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 blah. So they all just kind of chime in, all the bloodline family members. We know that at 1 year, whether it was early on, halfway through Obama's 2 terms, he had 44 cousins in the fucking Senate alone. One of them, McCain, the other one, who is the Attorney General now, Sessions. What the fuck's her name? I couldn't think of the other day. She's got a book out now. She's always talking about the banks. You got to stop the banks from doing this. You got to, she wears the glasses. She looks like a fucking school teacher when, in fact, she's just another bloodline family member of the DC genealogical abomination that it is. What's her name? She's always talking about, we got to reel the banks in, and Trump's an asshole. And everybody was like, Elizabeth Warren. Oh, I am going to run. I think I'm going to run. I don't know. Banks are bad. Banks are bad. I'm just going to say it. We got to stop Wall Street. Meanwhile, she probably, she doesn't go far enough. She doesn't go all the way and say, who's behind all the degeneracy? Who's behind all of the theft and the starvation and the decimation of the U.S. and world economy? Why? Because she's sitting there probably with a nice vacation home and, a work home. And McCain's got fucking a fucking dozen homes that he fucking lives in. That fucking scab will never die. That fucking, and of course we're supposed to believe that, he's a hero because he fought in the war when most of his platoon or troop leaders or the other prisoners of war over there said that he tweeted like a bird just so he could get special treatment. And of course, hardly any of this information. So McCain is a piece of fucking garbage. His father was a piece of fucking garbage. And they're all related to George Washington. And they're all fucking related to one another. And they all profit like a parasite off of the host, which is the commoners and all the people that they allow all the killing. Yemen, the absolute Saudi Arabia is fucking decimating Yemen, killing as many people over there. But for some reason, we're not bombing Saudi Arabia. We're bombing Syria after they have been under attack by the bankers' proxy army and all the jihadi groups that they've created. But of course, that's not what you're hearing on the news, so that can't be true. It's just easier to go along to get along. That's what America is. Go along to get along. Find out whatever the majority consensus is on whatever topic, and then join that fucking group. And I don't think it really totally happens that way. You're just either at some point you're a Democrat or a Republican. Like when I started getting political, I voted against George Bush and voted for Al Gore, an equal piece of shit. But you find that out later. Another bloodline family member of, the bloodlines of the Illuminati, has been written about. It's not this esoteric fucking group of people that just, they're just families who control and own everything and everyone, including you and your family and everybody who is a citizen in this country. And then you see other people being sworn in as U.S. citizens now on the news. 10 people from Blipoflania are being sworn in as United States citizens over in PA, in a town where I'm familiar with. And it's like, really? They want to be United States citizens? Okay. So they're signing up for, being tested, being, biologically, chemically tested, and all the other things that go along with the United States citizenship on this ship of fools, if you will. Was that what Robert Plant was singing about in his song, Ship of Fools? It's just another flattering title. It's nothing to get all excited about. And so we go back to Obama, and it's okay for war because, Bush started it. So, and now Trump's back. You got to level the playing field. Like, I didn't think he was going to win. I thought the Clintons were going to steal it. They were going to do something. People are fucking retarded. They have no sense of right and wrong. They have no sense of what to do. They tune in to the television to give them something to do. World Party, a better song. But so it only makes sense after almost 100 days of Trump's administration, the absolute hatred for him, the absolute chaos, the police standing down in Berkeley on two of these occasions. One where Milo and then Ann Coulter was going to speak, but then they wouldn't even let her speak there. I think that what they should do is just gather. They've got the technology, set it up, have her do a Skype, have her do a video Skype. These people, if they want to talk at these universities, do a video Skype. They're universities. They should have a fucking room with a screen or some kind of something that these people can speak or take questions. It would be safer for the speaker, and it might be safer for the attendees. But maybe that's the key. Inevitably somebody will fucking kill the internet. Somebody killed the internet, Like the guy in Forrest Gump, the guy in the military suit, he goes over and he starts pulling cables out of the PA, and then you never hear what Gump's take on the war was, right? And so what do we get this morning? We get a story about the head person at Facebook. And you can look at this, as I break it down. Facebook's taken a lot of structural damage for its spying on people. It's not respecting privacy. Being a intelligence, an alphabet agency, database to do all the things that they do to people as an agenda by a plan. The Facebook killings, the man who shot the old fellow walking down the street. And I was just thinking the other day, like just speculating. And I wanted to see how it would be taken. So I said, well, maybe, and nobody heard the maybe. I said, well, maybe the old guy molested somebody. Maybe the old guy did some heinous shit and he was shot for that reason. And what did I hear somebody say? Why are you attacking the victim? and they were like, really? Is that what happened? I said, no, I'm just speculating. And then one of my coworkers was like, fake news. So I said, there's a possibility that is the case. Maybe that guy did some fucked up shit. Just because he's an old fella walking down the street collecting cans, that doesn't mean that you always get the story from a certain point. Even one of my coworkers said, talking about the police, what did this person do to the cop, or what did this person do to the authority figure? What preceded what we have been fed by the lying, fake media? The media that doesn't talk about all the black on black murders that happened in the city of Chicago, Obama's Chicago, Rahm Emanuel's Chicago, where there's a story on 60 Minutes saying, are the police standing down? Is the crime and all of the horrific shit that's going on in the city of Chicago, is it past the point of the police being able to manage it? And of course, the police are like, no, we're not standing down. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. And of course, you find out that the mayor's not standing with the chief of police. The mayor's doing all this. The mayor's doing all that. So the police are just being sent out there. They're given their orders, and they do what they're told because it's their job. Some of them do it in a very extreme manner. Others just want to get up, go to work, give out a couple tickets if somebody's legitimately speeding or somebody's legitimately doing something wrong. Others, realize that they're basically, they have an agenda. I had a cousin who was a cop down the Jersey Shore, and he said, yeah, absolutely there were quotas. Absolutely. You had to generate income from the commoners. He said that. He's dead now, but that was from lung cancer. That wasn't because they didn't Serpico or try to Serpico him. The bottom line is that America is heading into an absolute despotic future, and it's going to require a militarized scene to be able to control it, and that's what they want. That's what they want. That's why groups from South America are up here. And there's a lot of concern about these specific groups. An old boss of mine who was in the Coast Guard told me about these groups, one in particular that was in America, and they were not nice guys, and they are not nice guys. Yet another group of people that were most likely designed and created out of social engineering. The corrosion of what the banking families have done to Mexico, to South America, to Brazil, to all of these, all of these countries down there that are now in the crosshairs more than ever, and were in the economic hitman design crosshairs years ago. Why is RT putting out documentaries that show the decimation of these countries in Africa and all over the world, where Monsanto gets the green light to start manufacturing and destroying the environment, and we're going to create jobs, and then of course you find out that those people that work there are dying, and their children are deformed or something awful. So the woman who is the head of Facebook was on this morning. Her husband died. He was working out or something, and he died apparently of some kind of heart arrhythmia, which you hear about so much. The body is starving for nutrition. It's starving for minerals and things like that. And then, of course, because we're an electrical system inside, the heart starts to beat abnormally, and then that causes other problems. So he dies, and they're doing a follow-up story. Of course, Facebook taking a lot of structural damage from their new Facebook Live, where people are just using it to beat retarded people up and kill old guys picking up cans, and a number of other things that we've heard since this Facebook Live thing has gone live. And so here is, this woman. I don't even know what her name is. Somebody want to post her name? Somebody want to help the llama out? I don't care. Rich Jewish woman. Okay. So you hear through the rollout of the story that she was somehow connected to Summers, who was part of the U.S. Treasury. Mr. Summers, who has been tied to the destruction of the global economy from the guy who wrote, what the heck, the BBC reporter Palance, or not Jack Palance. Why am I thinking Jack Palance? Vulture's Picnic guy, just to give you some perspective. Greg Palast wrote about Summers. He wrote about Larry Summers, and of course we're talking about the same groups, the same criminal elements the Golden Dawn murder case, Larry Summers and the New Fascism. Now Palace, he's, I'm sure he's writing good things, but then there's things that he's not going to say either. But this woman is tied to and had worked with Summers, Larry Summers. So then you understand the connection and why she became the second person in charge, asked by the douchebag, who I don't think had anything to do with Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. I believe that he's just was the non-threatening little face, the guy who for years couldn't even wear a suit when he would, be in situations that you would think would require some update or increase in attire. And so she's sitting there and she's talking to Nora O'Donnell, another beautiful liar. I call her the beautiful liar, just like Gayle King, another beautiful liar. Can't say that, what's his face, the guy that's on in the morning there, the old fella, the old liar, we'll call him. Today's Walter Cronkite. So we see this story, and then she's sitting there, and she's talking about what happened and how she dealt with the death of her husband, and how her kids are taking it. And it was sad. She a little bit there. She cried a little bit, and Nora was like, "It's okay, it's all right." And then you start thinking about, can people sympathize with this? Sure. Can people, real people that have lost a spouse in one of these wars where Prudential and a lot of these insurance companies have stolen their death benefits? And all these insurance companies, which are just banks that even has been on 60 Minutes, because I guess they have to be able to they have to be able to control the narrative of all of this corruption from people that are thought to be dead, who still get checks, and people that are dead, that actually dead, that still get Social Security checks. And then people that are alive, but they are thought to be dead, and then they can't even participate in the system because they don't have their tax ID, they don't have their economic pass to do business inside the fiction known as the U.S. corporation. And so all these people that have lost a spouse, who are raising their kids by themselves, this woman has more money than you can shake a fucking stick at. I think she's going to be okay. And then we just continue to hear about, how this, and then the conversations that she had with her daughter and all these other things. I mean, they really are just they're really kind of shoving it in people's faces. Okay. Now, do I have sympathy for people that that kind of thing happens to? Absolutely. Do we have to see it on television? Do we have to put that on there? Oh, this rich, beyond all of your fucking imaginations combined, woman whose husband dies working out on in their fucking $3 million home in Palo Alto somewhere, dies. Do we Do we grasp that portion of the story? Do we understand that it's like they really are shoving it in people's faces, like rich people have problems too? And so I think on some level it was more or less, putting this face on Facebook that's taking a lot of shit right now for this Facebook Live and a lot of the things that have occurred. Apparently the guy who shot the old fella in the face uploaded the video. Maybe there should be like someone looking at these videos and saying, okay, well, maybe we'll put your video up, because there's got to be something. But then again, how could they tell? How could they even know that what was happening on that screen, even if it was live? How could they even know that this guy was going to go and put a bullet in this guy's head? How could they know? So there is that level of protection, an alibi for Facebook, if you will. So we see this story, this woman, very powerful, and, and not just because she came from nowhere. She has connections to the cabal. She has connections to Andy Summers from the police. No, Larry Summers from the Goldman Sachs element of the domination, the economic domination of the fiction. Their fictitious money and their control of all of our lives as a result of it. The global economy. Everything's tied together so intricately that one thread can pull the whole fucking thing down. So as we get closer to some type of major trigger point with either North Korea or Syria, the real true culprits and scumbags responsible for all of the misery in the world sit back and toy with the planet of playthings. And that's us. We're the planet of playthings. We dance on the strings of powers we cannot perceive. But of course, we have free will to be able to, we're supposed to have discernment. Can we make our own decisions, or have our decisions been already decided for us? And large portions of this destructive, diseased society that we have to participate in, for the most part, have no moral compass. They've already been, they've already been connected with the what's that in the sci-fi movies where you get close enough to the ship and then it grabs you and then it just pulls you in. The technology or whatever, it just kind of takes over your ship, and then there's nothing you can do. Just, high tech, space stuff that we'll never see and never be a part of, if it even exists at all. But these people's minds, their reactions. Talk about the Google algorithms where they have already figured out what's going to happen. They've already figured out the outcome of this or the outcome of that. But they couldn't figure out the outcome, which was Trump was going to win the election, right? So it swings, the pendulum swings back and forth, and it only makes sense that after 8 years of that jackass Obama, that you would get a Donald Trump type. Now I don't know who would have been, if Trump wasn't there, who would have been. Would have been Ted Cruz? Who would it have been? Or did it have to be Trump with his own money, Trump with his style, his brash, just staring down from the podium at one of his victims and say, fuck you, Rand Paul, you don't even deserve to be here. Like shit like that. It was great TV. It really was. And then his attacks on that fucking Ken doll douchebag from Florida, Marco Rubio. My father owned a bar and he worked his way. And all these stories that are supposed to tug on our fucking heartstrings. But America still went with the guy who got $1 million loan to start his business. Now, whatever. I wish I had gotten a fucking $1 million loan. Chances are I probably would have lost it all. Maybe. Or somebody would have stolen it from me. It would never, ever be my fault. So, as we sit here on the precipice of utter annihilation, which reminds me, I got to take a precipice. But I'll be able to hold out until the program's done. But I just think that the breakdown, and I didn't even go over most of this stuff, but it's all going to the same place. Same bullshit's going on over in France with Le Pen, but there's like 4 people that I don't even know. I mean, do the French, what I don't even, fuck these people. I don't give a shit about France, honestly. But we're being shown an example of how the same type of movement that happened here is happening in France because Le Pen is against the immigration. And why do we even sit back and even tolerate this shit, knowing that Obama and Israel and all of these NATO countries were behind the creation of the immigration crisis? They were behind what happened in Libya that, again, didn't have to happen, like World War II didn't have to happen, like World War I didn't have to happen, Libya didn't have to happen, the bullshit lies of the war on terror and all this other mangled fucking bullshit creates the need to replace another, evil dictator, aka the next Hitler, and then you go over there, you kill women and men and children, and nothing largely gets reported because the narrative is controlled, and then you get this massive fucking immigration from Libya, and then they do the same exact fucking thing in Syria. and create an incredible fucking deluge of fucking more immigrants. Why are these people not being hung from their fucking necks? Why? There was no reason to go into Libya. There was no reason to go into Syria. The first so-called chemical attack from Assad was a lie, and so was the second one. Or was it just, let's shoot some missiles and destroy this Russia-Trump because it's getting out of control. This whole Russia and Trump love affair is getting out of control. So again, you manage to address a number of different things with one situation, one action. And largely, the American people have no fucking clue what's going on anywhere in the world, nor would they care if they did. Because apparently they think they're on the winning team that gave them health care, or if that's what you want to call it. And, you know, Clint is so right. Every time you think about one of these things, when you think about how absolutely fucking screwed up everything is, you have to understand that they've stolen everything from you. They've stolen the thoughts that are in your head. They've mangled your perspective. They've control you in so many ways that there's just it's so hard for people to understand. It's so hard for people to believe that they are just fucking puppets. Just puppets. Puppets on the left, puppets on the right. What happens with Bill O'Reilly? Now he's gone. He's not coming back. Who cares? I mean, the guy is a vicious piece of shit. And not because what he was supposedly being accused about, because you know he's a narcissist. You know he's just going to do whatever he wants to do. No matter who, or no matter what. The bottom line is that the real crime is that he sat up there for years lying to the puppets on the right. Lying and lying and lying. Empowering, saturating the lies of the powerful and the bankers, and then writing books like Killing Jesus and killing this one and killing that one. And people actually took the time to read that shit. And I'm not attacking him from the left. I'm attacking him because he is a demon And if there is a hell, he's got a front row fucking seat. These prostitutes, these liars, those that enforce the lies of this criminal enterprise known as the United States Corporation. They will kill you and your family members, and they will make it look like you are a fucking hero. That's what they do. They wrap the Bible in a flag and bludgeon your fucking retarded head with it. Update: multiple cities hit with simultaneous power grid failures. Is it a cyber attack? The San Francisco chaos this week. Friday, I believe Friday morning it started. And the fucking retarded asshole Pope says that refugee centers are concentration camps. Shut the fuck up, you asshole. Can somebody tell the Pope to shut the fuck up?
Just did.
All right. Somebody with a voice. Tell Pope Francis to shut the fuck up.
You're mean.
I just been like, hey, Pope Francis, listen, hi, you don't know me, but the world collectively needs you to shut the fuck up. Talk about going to hell. Merkel's populist foes in disarray as Germany defies the Trump surge. And there's a picture of that fucking wildebeest. Pat Buchanan always chimes in with some kind of negativity. It might be too late. Like, what is it? Yeah, of course, it's always too late. In an unrelated story, a woman told sex shop clerk she had HIV. Then she lunged at him with the needle and stole vibrators. Navy SEAL accused of rape, child sex assault, and having child porn. Newspaper says, why can't the Clintons just go away? Saudi Arabia, a kingdom that's built on oil, plans a future beyond oil. Death toll jumps to 20 in Venezuela protest, another country that's being economically raped by the Bolsheviks. Aaron Hernandez may have committed murder to cover up his bisexual secret. In House of Murdoch, Sons set about elaborate overhaul. They're going to put the old guy down. Third U.S. citizen detained in North Korea. Why didn't they get the fuck out of there when they had a chance? Oh, because the American corporation, the Crown Corporation's doing business with Kim Jong fucking douche. Great war coming? Oh, you can count on it. Time to break up Google. Dynasty may be coming to an end. Don't fucking count on it. Man fined $128 for idling his car in his own driveway. North Korea warns Great War coming as U.S. strike force just days away. And there's Jake Tapper. Hi, I'm Jake Tapper. Listen to me. I'm important. There it is. There it is. Oh, well. Say la vie. What the fuck does la vie mean? I don't even know. DEA just admitted to selling drugs on streets. Youth informants forced to help. Netanyahu's wife to be indicted over corruption charges. We'll see if that actually happens. Maybe they should indict both of them and throw them in a cell together, filled with feces. Bomb attack damages Monsanto's research center in Italy. Oh, dear. Prisons of Pleasure or Pain. Huxley's Brave New World versus Orwell's 1984. Visualizing the collapse of the middle class in 20 major U.S. cities. See, I'm trying to do what they do on the lie box, on the like, and putting the right emphasis. North Korea warns China of catastrophic consequences for siding with the U.S. U.S. Army considering resurrecting devastating kinetic weapon that moves at 3 times the speed of sound. The dark secret at the heart of AI. Thanks for joining in today. Hopefully I put some perspective in. The body of Christ compels you.
Put the MK scope on ya. If the MK hits you, it's guaranteed to open ya. The 57mm Mark 110, 220 rounds a minute, try to stop them. Don't put that on your wish list, that's retarded babble. Protesters make the hit list soon as they start to rabble. They are nothing but fishes in the barrel. It doesn't have to be Christmas for a carol. Some decorate with ornamental decorum. Some perform Shakana on Hanukkah and Purim. That's where my job come in. I am a blessing to the mercenary for the corporation selling weapons to them. Any potential competitor step into them. I'm authorized to knock them out and stick a GPS into them.